Let's see what we're going to start next. Hello and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. In my last video, I talked about some much needed up-potting that I needed to do, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Hi everyone, my name is Kim and you're at Kim's Cozy Corner. On my channel, I talk about growing your own food, whether we're talking indoor like I am today in my indoor grow space or outside in a suburban backyard garden. Now, I grow all of my own food. I try not to purchase anything from the grocery store. And with that being said, I try to grow food through the winter as well. It is mid-December, and I live in zone 6A. Excuse me, I live in zone 6B. It changed this year. In zone 6B, we can get some pretty frigid temperatures during the winter months, and it makes it very difficult to grow food outside without a lot of care. I'll put it that way. So in my winter months, fall and winter, early spring months, I grow indoors, and I grow in many different methods. Today I'm downstairs in my basement next to my indoor grow tent, and I grow all kinds of vegetables in my grow tent. And I start everything from seed. I try not to buy transplants because they're just so expensive. And I have tons and tons of seeds. So we are going to up pot some of these seeds that should have been up potted a long time ago. And I do mean a long time ago. And we are also going to transplant some tomatoes into one of my GreenStalk. Now, when I up pot my lettuce, they're going to look beautiful like this versus all straggly like these right here. And these were planted at the same time. And I mean, at the same time. And you see how different they look? Let me get these labels out the way so you really can see. You see how small and little and just ugly they look? And they were planted at the exact same time as this one, but this one I up potted as I did with these two as well. So we're going to do that today with these little ugly plants, along with a couple of other types of lettuce. Before I do that, I'm going to have to do something with these as well. So these are micro dwarf tomatoes, and these tomatoes were planted at the same time as that lettuce. But I've already transplanted all of the other tomatoes into the container. Now, I said these were micro dwarf. These are not micro dwarf. These are dwarf tomatoes. They get 2 to 3 feet tall, and I've already put some in my GreenStalk. But I had a couple extra plants, and y'all, I just don't like to throw anything away. Any living thing I like to let live if I can. So we are going to add this to the GreenStalk because some of the plants didn't take very well. So we're going to add these first, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do from an up potting standpoint. Now, I would consider this a medium-sized setup, but you don't need all of this to grow. I can grow lettuce like this in a windowsill. You don't need an indoor grow tent. But if you would like an indoor grow tent, links to everything I use is down below. But let's take care of these tomatoes. Now this is my GreenStalk that has dwarf tomatoes in it. And along the bottom here, I have all of my tomatoes. And most of these cells look pretty good until you get to this one right here. This tomato right here is not very happy. And we are going to take these are called Tasmanian chocolate. We're going to take these Tasmanian chocolates and we are going to, I'm not going to take this one out, but I'm going to put it right next to it. And that way, if it decides to grow, great, we'll let it live. But if not, I have another tomato plant to take its place. To plant anything in a GreenStalk, anything whatsoever, all you do is first you need to prepare your soil. And I have lots and lots of videos on the type of potting soil that I use in my GreenStalks. Today, all I got to do is put it in because everything has already been prepared. And so this is a tomato plant. So I'm going to want to plant it deep. And so I'm going to add a little mycorrhizal in there. And I'm going to get this big, healthy one. I don't want to get dirt on everything. So let's do it in this tray here. So I'll pull both of them out just so you can see it. But there's the root structure. We'll just divide it in half. And we will get this down in there and try not to damage the other one. I usually prefer to put my transplants in before I put my GreenStalk together. That's my preferred method. But you can't always do that, especially when you're replacing plants. Now, I'm going to try to get that tomato plant a little deeper. I like to plant about 2/3 of my plants when I'm doing tomatoes. Everything else, I plant it back to the depth it was in its container. So now, this little one that just don't want to kind of make it here, it might decide to grow. If it does, fine. If not, there's another Tasmanian chocolate right there to help it out. This is the other one that doesn't seem so healthy. And it is a Tasmanian chocolate. So I'm going to put another one right beside this one as well. And that will take care of these tomatoes that needed a home. I had already watered today when I decided, let's find a home for the tomatoes. So this pocket is nice and wet, ready to accept the plants that I'm putting in them. Now I've added, yes, there's 2 tomato plants in this pocket. I typically prefer 1 tomato plant per pocket, but I have 2 in here. If they both grow, great, it'll be fine. Don't worry, it will be fine. And I have 2 in this one. I don't think this one right here is going to make it though. I just tell you, y'all, it's looking pretty shabby. But the tomatoes are in. And now let's work on up-potting and planting some new things. So the new plants that we're going to start today, and there are only 3, but I want to keep the harvest coming. And I also want to try a few more things that I hadn't planted yet this year indoors. So I am going to start some bok choy. And 2 types of cabbage. We are going to start early Jersey. And we're going to start some Chinese cabbage. We're going to start a Napa cabbage. And this Napa cabbage is a medium-sized barrel head. It's called Hilton. Let's see if I can get the light to play nice with me. And those are the 3 new plants we're starting today. Let's get those started first, and then we'll worry about the up-potting. All right, here we are. I already have a ton of little seed starting cells already made up. And I am indoors, so I can't start too much, right? I can't go overboard. There's just not that much room in my little area here. But I would love a head or 2, right? Wouldn't that be nice? A head or 2 of some type of cabbage. And bok choy grows very fast, so that's going to be super easy to grow. And so I'm going to show you my seeds. I'm going to show you everything that I'm doing, and I will put the camera down to show you. Now, as far as how to plant your seeds, always follow the directions on your seed pack. And this says I need to plant this bok choy seed right here. I need to plant it 1/4 of an inch deep. And it says I can harvest in about 50 days. And the seeds are tiny, tiny, tiny. And you get so many seeds in a seed pack. And seeds last more than a year, except for maybe onion. Onion are kind of finicky like that. But these seeds are tiny. They're little dark brown little like balls. And I have 6 in my hand. And I'm just mixing it up because I was supposed to do this several days ago. So my soil's kind of dried out on me. And I don't have the best soil, but I have 6, and I am going to put all 6 in this one container. Now, you don't have to do it this way. If you put 1 in your container, you don't have to up pot as much. But I hate watering. So I am going to put these close together so that I don't have to water a whole bunch of containers. And then I will up pot them into their own individual containers. But I'm planting 6. I'm going to cover those 6 up with just a little bit of soil versus putting a hole. And there it is. That's bok choy, y'all. That simple. 6 seeds in, just like that. Bok choy. 1/4 inch deep. Bok choy is ready to go. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with this early Jersey cabbage and this Hilton Napa cabbage. And these are all brassicas. So the seeds are all very similar. My goal is to do 6 again. Wish me luck. I have shaky fingers, or shaky hands, I should say. And we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put it just a little higher up. Maybe you can see it better up here. And where's my little thing there? Let's mix this soil up again. It's dry on top, but it's not dry underneath. For my seed starting mix, I prefer to use a seed starting mix. When I'm doing my regular season, in my regular season, starting all of everything, right, that's going to go in my main garden outside, I use a seed starting mix to do that. And I sterilize that seed starting mix. So in other words, I put hot boiling water in that seed starting mix, and that'll kill any kind of larva or anything like that that might be growing in it. And Lord, which one did I just put in here? Oh, y'all, I done got mixed up. I wasn't paying attention. Well, the early Jersey might get mixed up. I think that was early Jersey. I'm talking and I'm not paying attention, y'all. I think that's early Jersey. Anyway, I get that boiling water, I put it in, and it'll kill any larva or anything like that that's growing in the soil, and that'll keep you from having fungus, gnats, and some of those type things. So that's how I sterilize my soil. Right now, I'm using whatever I got just to keep the harvest going. I did have some seed starting mix, but I used it all up. So I got a little bit of everything mixed in here, starting up these seeds today. So anyway, let me get back to planting this Hilton, and then I will bring you back when we start up potting that lettuce. All right, so these 3 are in. We will water everything at one time, but we'll just set this to the side. And now we're going to work on up potting these plants right here. I'm going to start with these little bitty ones. When I up pot, I like to go into a pot at least this size, or I will put only 1 plant in a pot this size. There's nothing special about my pots. I reuse them over and over again, but I will have a different type of seed starting pot here real soon that I'll be sharing with you. So we're going to start with this butter crunch. Let me get my glove on. So this butter crunch right here, let's see how many I got. I made 3 name tags, but let's see what I really got. There's 1, 2, that's a decent size, 3. And these 2 little bitty ones here, and then there's another one trying to grow right there. Guess what, y'all? That's now fertilizer. I just crumble it up and let it compost and provide nutrition back to the other plants. So We have one of my larger containers here with a huge piece of wood in it. I hate subpar potting soils, potting mixes. I hate it. I hate subpar soils. But you got to get what you can get in the off season, at least in my neighborhood. All right. So I am backfilling this plant, trying to anyway, back to the depth that it already was. And then you're going to watch this one take off. And it's going to be all big and happy like this one because they were started on the same day. Once you start up potting, giving what I call your plant's legs room to stretch out, they will take off, they will green up, and they will be beautiful for you. Boy, look at that stick. Ugh. Whew. I'm going to have to just order me some soil online because locally it's just too hard to source in December. So I punched a little hole here. I'm going to stick this one right in that little hole. I'm going to tuck it in around the sides just a little bit, just to make sure it's happy. And that's another butter crunch. So let me finish this butter crunch up, and then for a plant that's a little larger, let me show you how I'm going to manage that one. Okay, we're going to do this Lantus winter first. Now this is a 3 compartment, and I have multiple Lantus winters growing in this one cell. And so we are going to get that out and give each and every one of them their own home. I made 3 name tags. Y'all see that? Look at that. They're all wrapped around. They are looking for a new home and they want it bad. So let's get this out the way. We're going to give each of them a new home in one of these type containers. But I got to first see how many I have. There's one. And Lantus winter is a beautiful plant. If I can find a picture, I'll put a picture right here for you. But there's one. Do I only have 2? There are only 2 plants in here. So I'm going to get rid of some of this root mass. But that's 1 plant. That's only 1. So I only had 2 Lantus winters. I thought I had 3, but that's okay. Since this one has such a deep root, I'm going to take half of the soil out of the container and I'm going to set it down in here, and then I am going to backfill until I get back to the roots. Not back to the roots, y'all. Until I get back to the level the soil was already in. Maybe it's too early in the morning. I should have got my coffee before I started this project. So there's the one, and we'll do the other one the same way. Since it has a much larger root structure, it's just easier to put the dirt back in versus just trying to move that dirt around. And I'm not super gentle with my plants. You saw I just yank them out, pull them apart. Your plants want to live, so I mean, they will survive. You can pull on them just a little bit. So there are my 2 Lantus winters, and they're going to start really, really growing and getting really nice. I mean, not that it doesn't look nice already, but they're going to really fill on out. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with this slow boat here. Let's see what we're working with. Now, when I first started this sale, I had twice the number of lettuce in here. And I pulled the lettuce off of this backside here, and I left the rest of it in here to continue to grow. And it did get bigger because it had a little more room with the other plants being gone. But it's not going to get much bigger than what it is because it just has nowhere to go. And this one only has 2 in it as well. So larger root, I'm making room in my little pot for that larger root, and then I'll backfill. Since I'm still in the seedling stage, I don't put Mykos in unless I'm ready to transplant it into its final home. So if you're wondering why I didn't use Mykos, it's because it's not in its final home. Now, when I go to plant this in my GreenStalk or a pot or whatever, then I will add Mykos. And I'm not adding any fertilizer, but I will about once every, I don't know, 7 or 10 days or so, I will add a liquid fertilizer to all of my little seedlings. And there's the slow boat. Slow boat's ready to go. So y'all remember that little sad seedling tray? Look at it now. Everything has room. It's going to want to grow, but it does need water. So when it comes to watering your plants, it depends on what you're doing. For seedlings, I like to give it a nice spray on top for all of my seedlings. I only do this when I'm starting seeds, I should say, seeds. I give it a nice spray on top like this. And outside of when I'm starting seeds, that's the only time you will see me water from the top. Every other time I water, we are going to water from the bottom. So we're going to add water to the bottom of this tray. There's a little spot there I left open. I like to maybe 2/3, I don't know, a quarter or 2/3 of the way full, not quite half. And then that water will absorb from the bottom up into the plants, into the containers. And that's how I water all of my plants. That's my process. And that's really it for how we're going to get more seedlings started today. So we started some stuff from seed. We did some up potting as well right here. We up potted a few things, and these just needed to be watered. That's all they needed. And we can't forget about these tomatoes that we started over here, and these have already been watered as well. So that's it. That's what I'm working on at the moment. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I like to keep things going. And I will be back here doing some more fun projects and planting other things in the very near future. So until next time, and I hope there will be a next time that you hang out with me, Kim, at Kim's Cozy Corner. Talk to you soon. Bye.